Today's AskReddit post. Has anyone ever gone with a prostitute? How did you end up there, and do you regret it? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Back in like 2015 I saw an ad on Craigslist for charity bangs. At the time I really enjoyed her acting skills, and she was only asking $300 for an hour or something, so I thought why not. We met at a Starbucks and it really was charity bangs. I was nervous as duck. It was my first time paying for it. She took me to her room in a hotel nearby and asked me to leave the donation in the bathroom. She came out naked and she started kissing me. Up to that point I hadn't been with a girl with implants before, and when I felt them, they were hard as a rock. Then I noticed all the bruises on them and on her thighs. All I could think about were all the other dudes that had probably been there before me. My dick melted like ice cream on a hot day. I was embarrassed and explained my embarrassment and how it was my first time doing something like this. Blah blah. She was super sweet about it. We just hung out the rest of the time and talked. I learned that day that I couldn't be a porn star and I didn't like paying for intercourse. You should ask in any military subreddits. I swear. We make up like 50% of total prostitution sales worldwide lol. Man. They really need to increase the military wages if you guys are forced to prostitute yourselves. Edit. Man. I can really imagine it now. Yeah, all lined up, as if for morning call. As a sleazy pickup with a man wearing only dirty briefs and a wife beater slows down and yells I want someone to scream and spit me in the face as I rail ya. Sarge. This one's for you. You joke but I knew multiple Marines on food stamps. I got paid significantly more when I left and worked at a gas station. I hired an escort to try to lose my virginity. I wasn't really attracted to her, and I was nervous. Couldn't get it up. She was nice about it, still took my money, of course. She gave me a huge hickey, so my roommates and coworkers at least thought I had some game. I ended up losing my V the old-fashioned way, with an actual girlfriend. A few months later, never regretted hiring the escort, taught me the importance of having an actual connection with someone when it comes to intercourse. 5 of us out drinking club together at uni when we found out one of our mates was a virgin and paid for a pro for him. He came back and said it just didn't turn him on and he couldn't do it. She got paid, we all laughed and carried on the night. I hoped he met a great woman who was worth saving his virginity for. Was in Amsterdam. Had an Airbnb right by the red light district. My friends helped me pick her out. It was awkward though, I'd much rather sleep with a woman who likes me over a prostitute. Yeah. I walked the red light district several times and there were some hotties for sure, but I felt too weird to indulge. Also, a lot of girls had lines outside. I don't care how hot she is, and plenty of the girls in Amsterdam are legit dimes. But there's no way I could enjoy intercourse I waited in line for. I have. But it wasn't intentional. I was out clubbing and bar hopping and a really hot girl approached me and started talking to me, but pretty quickly asked me if I wanted some company tonight. I didn't realize that was code for I'm a prostitute. Do you want my services? Brought her back to my place and then she told me her price. I was shocked and explained I didn't know she was a lady of the night. That I thought she was just a random girl who wanted some fun. She asked me how much cash I had and would give me a discount since she wasn't clear. I said $40 and we got it on. I don't regret it. She was hot. She was rather goth, which I was into. So it was all good. She just wanted some fun or something cause. Yeesh. Only $40? Kind of. I went into the back room with a girl at a strip club and got a blowjob. It just made me realize I have less than zero interest in being intercordial with people I don't know. A valuable bit of insight about myself, but an uncomfortable lesson to learn. At a strip club. How much did that cost? $150. Got scammed because I was drunk and naive, which is a dangerous combo for a wallet. She gave me the clap, but she was so good I went back and got it again, trying to turn the clap into applause. Bravo. I did in Prague, and don't regret it at all. She looked just like Kate Silverton, who used to read the news on BBC News 24. Edit. I didn't know about the whole lady drink thing. So when they served me my 50p pint and her 60-pound mini bottle of champagne, my eyes nearly popped out on stalks. This Justin / high five. Name that show. Kids. Close bracket. I once did. It was a response to discovering my wife's affair with a colleague. Seeking revenge. I visited a professional. Given our years of unsatisfactory intimacy, I felt justified. The experience was surreal, filled with nerves and adrenaline. I hadn't slept the night before. Meeting her, young and compassionate, I found solace in our conversation. She listened, comforted, and we eventually engaged in brief intimacy. Overall, it was oddly relieving. She was the epitome of professionalism and kindness. I've never repeated the experience, preferring to cherish it as a unique memory. Did you write this with a quill pen? Good lord, man. I'd read anything you write. Is that James Joyce? Me and a friend got drunk one day and decided to order prostitutes. In the end we were too scared to do anything, so we just took them to the local fair and had a fun day. This sounds like a premise to a goofy comedy. I challenge you to Street Countdown. Picked one up for a threesome with my girl right after I graduated college. She was worried about finding someone who we wouldn't have to talk to after, but curious about the experience. Kinda surprised I had to scroll down so far for this. Thinking about hiring one for the same reason. Fully recommend. Women typically worry more about emotions between the third wheel and the guy. Hiring a third wheel gives the best possibility to reducing any insecurities in a partner. Last year while I was traveling solo in Europe, got drunk one night, did some window shopping in the red light district in Brussels, negotiated the price, then got it on. She was smoking hot, but the intercourse wasn't great or anything. If you're just looking to get your rocks off and nothing else, give it a go. Holly duck. Red light in Brussels? How are you still alive? As a matter of fact, you can see women in baby carriages walking their kids during daytime in the street. The area has a worse reputation during nighttime. Many. I wanted to just find out what that experience was like, given I wasn't going to normally anytime soon. Don't regret it, because instead of disappointing many women I get to pay women for that time and only disappoint myself with my fast performances. Lol, that is honestly such a considerate angle to take. Has anyone ever gone with a prostitute? No. However, for some reason bosses always order me to take foreign government officials to show them around. I know the places, but never actually paid for a service. The officials come out always happy after the doing the deed, and sometimes they even want me to take them again. I regret knowing the places, reviews, and prices. I blame my autism for that. Are you based in Germany? I had a friend who got into the lifestyle. She was a mess. Emotionally, she was hella smart and articulate. Never asked her how she got into it. I never cared. She got killed by a client one day. I was heartbroken. A bit more about us is that we spent a lot of time together. Yes, we had intercourse. Quite a bit. We would play dice and cards. We would lay around and talk about crazy poop. We would also go watch the Red Wings at Joliet. I could honestly say that I did love her, and I believe she did me, as we all. I never regretted being with her. I only wish that I would have tried harder to stay with her. She was good people, and despite her lifestyle, I cared more about her than what she did. I feel like I dropped the ball. I'm so sorry, man. Like the other person said, no way you could have known that would happen to her. I've considered it a few times, but since I know nothing about the intercourse industry, I'm worried that I might be supporting intercourse trafficking or intercourse slavery. Only go with the fair trade organic free range prostitutes. Non-GMO pasture raised. I did one time. Never again. It was not a good experience. I was young, in the army, and fresh out of basic training. Like the first weekend we were allowed off base, I think. I was single, living in Georgia, and didn't know anyone. I was so drunk and a guy I had met in basic who had the same memos comes up to me with two girls and tells me they want to party with us. I remember getting like $60 out of an ATM and the four of us going to a hotel room. I was nearly blackout drunk. I know I had issues getting hard. I was wearing a condom and I remember the girl trying to give me a BJ with the condom on and thinking how that must taste bad. Lol. I did duck her with my sort of flaccid dick, but I never finished, and I'm sure it did nothing for her. The four of us were in the same hotel room, but we were on different beds and I remember faking finishing because the guy I was with had finished and they were awkwardly watching me. That was like 20 years ago. I don't even remember what the girl looked like. I couldn't even tell you her ethnicity. No, but I was once paid for intercourse. Some random cougar picked me up in a bar and asked me to her room. We got down to it and had a pretty good time. She was very appreciative, and when we'd done I tried cuddle, but she upped and started to go to the bathroom. As she did, she reached for her purse, pulled out £200 and told me to tell the barman he was right and to duck off now. What was the barman right about? Our duck op dipped right after the cliffhanger. How did you end up there? Like my mode of transportation to where I met them. I rode my heifer there and was too drunk after, so got the train back. How did the heifer get home? What happened to the heifer? Never had a girlfriend or even hookup for my entire 20s. Now in my 30s, and I realized it wasn't going to happen for me naturally. So I started doing some searching and eventually jumped in. My first time was a disaster due to my nerves and a poor choice in a low price provider. But once I knew how easy it was, I was eager to get back into the game and do it right with less nervousness. A couple of years down the track and I've crossed off a bunch of items from my bucket list. Met some amazing and hot girls and had some awesome intercourse. I don't regret spending the money for a second. I lived in Germany from 2000 to 2004, and between relationships I would go into Prague and party a lot. There was one bar that was kind of a cave in a hillside, exposed rock and everything, and the intercourse workers around there were 10/10ths. They were all insanely beautiful and really good at their jobs. I would start the evening there and get a BJ before I would go out and party that night. It was always great and some of the most insanely beautiful people I have ever seen naked. It would relieve my early 20s intercordial drive, and it would always make the night more relaxed and enjoyable. This was all adults working a career and very good at their jobs. Was it Vinana Usudu? That was a bar I went to in Prague that had a bunch of caves. Very cool location. I stopped taking my antidepressants, and now I'm incredibly lonely and constantly horny again. So I've been considering it. I have no idea of how to start though. My humble advice is, don't do it. Spend your money on something usefully instead. Buy yourself something that makes you truly happy, like sushi. I miss human interaction and cuddling. Apparently I married one. Currently prepping for divorce. Sorry brother. Any kids involved? 1. I'm getting a paternity test. Hell yeah. No regrets at all. I'm not a man, so my situation is a little different, but I actually have a intercourse worker that I see a couple of times a year. I haven't been in a great place to date, and she's exactly the type of woman I'm really into. I like having transactional relationships sometimes because it means the boundaries are really clear. I'm not always a great girlfriend, but I can be a great client. No, but when I was in UAE, I was shocked at how brazen and out in the open it was. I was an innocent kid from the Midwest, and it was something you heard about in big cities, not really seen out in farmland. I also figured given it was a Muslim country that it would be no. Instead I say it's like Vegas with less gambling and way more prostitution. I hired one once at the old Mustang Ranch outside Reno. I had won some money in a casino that day. I was there alone, and it seemed like a fun way to spend some of my winnings. In those days, the 1980s, you could drive out to the ranch in 20 minutes from downtown Reno, and it was all perfectly legal. I was let in by the doorman and took a seat at the bar. After a while, a very pretty, Freckled redhead chatted me up. We made a deal for some action. She took me back to her sad little private room, had me undress, and checked my junk very thoroughly for any signs of STD. She was a very sweet and willing girl and we tried all sorts of different things. When it was all over, she let me shower off in her bathroom and we said goodbye. I never saw her again. I'm behind to casual but lean heavily gay. Every so often the hetero side becomes dominant, and when that happens I use the services of an escort and that satisfies the desires, and I swing right back to gay. I don't regret it at all. I go to a high-end escort service with women who make real good money and only deal with safer clients like me. I had to have a background check and reference. They all love what they do and are very into casual. So it's not like I'm taking advantage of some migrant from the street who is doing it because she has nothing else. I have a few gay male escort friends who are high-end and travel and they make good money and love it. One of them has been doing it for 30 years and is killing it in the daddy market now. And X200B. Edit. Sorry, I'm not going to reveal the service. I would hope you can understand why. Just do an internet search for escorts. There's plenty of sites. Hell yeah, brother. 10/10ths recommend to anyone and everyone, but do it legally with a professional. Don't do it illegally with some desperate skeezy. But I want to save 10 bucks. All I have is $40. Yes, a male gay escort. I always wanted to have intercourse with a 10/10ths who is way out of my league. Was fun and now it's not a fantasy anymore. I now know exactly how it feels to do fun things with those hot muscled guys I see in the gym, club or street. To be honest, they're not that special after all. Will never regret it. He loves his job and he genuinely enjoys giving pleasure to people. It was a very respectful but hot experience. Would definitely do it again. But an escort is the easy way. Way more fun when you don't have to pay for it. Was in Amsterdam for a friend's 21st and another friend of mine was a virgin. Pretty awkward guy. Had a GF previously but nothing into casual. And we talked him into just getting it over and done with at the red light. Locals had told us earlier that day not to pay more than 50. Apparently that was a pretty standard price. Anyway, apparently he goes in and just hands her 50 without talking about what he wanted and just expected 50 to get him into course. Well, he'd already given her the money and she said she'd give him head only. He argued and this insulted her and her offer went to a hand job, to him wanking in front of her. He left and told us that she'd basically just robbed his money and we approached the window/door to see what was up. We were all basically told to duck off, which we did. Not much we could do really. I look back and laugh. Not sure my friend feels the same way. I visited Amsterdam 1 week for the grass and somehow ended up in the right district. No regrets at all. Both got what we wanted and both went on with their lives. Why are there so many questions asking about prostitutes recently? Is Reddit getting a little extra lonely lately? Extra. Nope. Always been scared to catch something. I'm a female and live in Holland. I work for a volunteer organization. We make rounds on the right light district, especially the Wallen. We talk to the girls to be sure that everything is going well and that if there is any human trafficking involved, we can intervene. I've seen some poop in the 15 years I've been doing this job, so I'll leave it at that. I have, in Thailand. It was awesome. They call it a soapy. You have a nice bubble bath with the lady. She gives a half-assed naked massage, then bang it out. It was awesome. Honestly sounds like a smart move. Kinda intimate and casual, while also reassuring both parties that the other person is clean. I was living in China, on a long streak without masturbation. Just broke up with my GF. Traveling around the country staying in B-tier hotels, you find these business cards with phone numbers on them on the floor like someone slipped them under the door. I didn't think they were real, but I called one and an attractive young woman showed up 20 minutes later. It was fun. Felt dirty and confused after. 1100 RMB. Several months later I was walking around Hong Kong at night. Couldn't sleep. Just admiring the city. On a rather quiet street, this guy sitting on the steps of a building called me over to light his smoke and said, "Hey sailor, Chinese girl inside. You want to try?" It had been a while since I had intercourse, so I did. 500 Hong Kong dollars. Also felt dirty and confused after. Basically I tried it twice. For science. It was fun during the act. Made me feel bad about myself afterwards both times. I still flirt with the idea sometimes when I'm in a long dry spell. It's easy when I'm real horny to forget how wrong it feels afterwards. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.